So we're concluding our look at King Lear, and we left off in his very final scene, and the point at which the tragedy really becomes almost unbearable, when Lear has been rescued, of course, and the malefactor, Edmund, the one who was so deceptive and fraudulent, and quite frankly, one of Shakespeare's notorious villains, has been just killed by his brother. So there's an element of divine justice here, and that sense of thematic closure. And Shakespeare, once again, presenting to the audience his sense that there is justice in God's ordering of all things. So that is there, and it's characteristic of Shakespeare's tragedies. We'll see it again shortly hereafter when we look at Hamlet, where Fortinbras comes in at the end and restores a sense of order and purpose and kingdom and so forth. So that's there. On the other hand, there's this untidy ending. When we say untidy, the main character with whom we have such great sympathy, Cordelia, is strangled in prison before they can get to her. And that at that point, the figure of honor and of fidelity and of compassion and of true love for her father is killed. And so the tragedy really is tragic in the modern sense, that it's just terribly sad, and there doesn't seem to be any sense of providential ordering. It's a hard one to swallow. And so there's maybe a sense of a less orderly, and some would say more realistic portrait of the way things work. I'm not sure about more realistic, but it's certainly a less strong sense of closure and order and purpose there, a greater sense of inexplicable outcome. Why do evil things happen to good characters in this case? And I suggested to you that in some ways Cordelia is a Christ figure, in the sense that she has come back to rescue her dear beloved father. She has done so, but at the cost of her own life in the end. And the guilt of all of those around her seems to have been laid upon her shoulders there. I don't want to push it too far, and there's nothing redemptive in this per se, but that's the best I can do as far as a explanation for the death here, and how it in some ways satisfies the sense of justice and closure. But Edmund falls, and a gentleman enters, and I'll pick it up here in line 222, with a bloody knife. "Help, help, oh help!" Edgar, "What kind of help?" Albany, "Speak, man! What means this bloody knife? 'Tis hot. It smokes," says the gentleman. "It came even from the heart of—" "Oh, she's dead." "Who dead? Speak, man!" "Your lady, sir, your lady, and her sister by her is poisoned. She confesses it." Edmund, who's he's still not yet died, "I was contracted to them both. All three now marry in an instant." So Goneril, dead. Regan, dead. And Edmund about to die. The three of them in this, it says, unholy marriage or contract. The three at the beginning mirroring the three at the beginning, the three sisters. There's a contract, a disposition or a dispensation of the property. Now these three malefactors are going to all end up dead. So again, there's a strong sense of justice and closure here. But here comes Kent, says Edgar. Albany, "Produce the bodies, be they alive or dead." And here's his words. "This judgment of the heavens that makes us tremble touches us not with pity. Oh, is this he? The time will not allow the compliment which very manners urges. Kent, I am come to bid my king and master a good night. Is he not here? Great thing of us forgot. Speak, Edmund, where's the king and where's Cordelia?" They've forgotten those two in the midst of all of this busyness and the executions and so forth happening in front of them. They've forgotten the king and Cordelia. What a thing to forget. Alack! Seest thou this object, Kent? Why thus? Why thus? And then Edmund. Yet Edmund was beloved. The one the other poisoned for my sake, and after slew herself. Even so, cover their faces. And Edmund, I pant for life. Some good I mean to do, despite of mine own nature. Now, a reference to his own nature here. Interesting. In the throes of death, acknowledges a moral nature, which he said was simply a social convention. All these appeals to morality were just a social construct. That's how he presented it at the beginning. As he's about to die, he realized he's been a bad man and that his nature was wicked. So there's a confession of sin on his part. And he wants to atone for it in the sense of some good will come out of this in his dying breath. So it's funny there. He's not a wholly bad character insofar as he acknowledges his wicked deeds. We'll compare that and contrast it with the wicked malefactor in Othello. He was only black. He dies with no repentance whatsoever. Anyway, to this. Quickly send, be brief in it to the castle, for my writ is on the life of Lear and on Cordelia. Nay, send in time. Albany, run, run, oh run. To who, my lord? Who has the office? Send thy token of reprieve. Well thought on. Take my sword. The captain, give it the captain. Haste thee for thy life. Edgar runs out with the sword. He hath commissioned from thy wife and me to hang Cordelia in the prison and to lay the blame on her own despair that she fordid herself. The gods defend her. Bear him hence a while. Off he goes. Lear comes in with Cordelia in his arms. Edgar and a gentleman are following them. And this is old Lear with his dead daughter, carrying her. Howl, howl, howl. Oh, you are men of stones. Had I your tongues and eyes, I'd use them so that the heavens' vault should crack. She's gone forever. I know when one is dead, and when one lives. She's dead as earth. Lend me a looking glass. And they will hold it up in front of their breath to see if they're still breathing, right? Lend me a looking glass. If that her breath will mist or stain the stone, why then she lives. Is this the promised end, says Kent? Or image of that horror? Fall and cease. To both of them. Lear, this feather stirs. She lives. If it be so, it is a chance which does redeem all sorrows that ever I have felt. Kent kneeling. Oh, my good master, prithee away. 'Tis noble Kent, your friend. A plague upon you, murderers, traitors all. I might have saved her. Now she's gone forever. Cordelia, Cordelia, stay a little. Ha! What dost thou sayest? Her voice was ever soft, gentle and low, an excellent thing in woman. I killed the slave that was a-hanging thee. 'Tis true, my lords, he did. Did I not, fellow? I have seen the day. With my good biting falcon, I would have made them skip. I am old now, and these same crosses spoil me. Who are you? Mine eyes are not of the best. I'll tell you straight. Kent, if fortune brag of two she loved and hated, one of them we behold. This is a dull sight. Are you not Kent? The same. Your servant Kent. Where is your servant Keys? He's a good fellow, I can tell you that. He'll strike, and quickly too. He's dead and rotten. No, my good lord, I am the very man. I'll see that straight. That from your first of difference and decay have followed your sad steps. You are welcome hither, nor man, no man else. All's cheerless, dark, and deadly. Your eldest daughters have fordone themselves and desperately are dead. Desperately they died in without hope. Despero. The sparrow is to hope in Latin. They died without hope. They died without repenting. So the contrast with Edmund, who's now repented and wished to do some good, contrasting with they died desperately, fordone themselves. Aye, so I think, says Lear. He knows not what he says, and vain is it that we present us to him. Very bootless. Edmund is dead, says the messenger who now enters, my lord. That's but a trifle here, says Albany. You lords and noble friends know our intent. What comfort to this great decay may come shall be applied. For us, we will resign during the life of this old majesty to him our absolute power. So he bequeaths the power back to Lear. To you, to Edgar and Kent, your rights, with boot and such addition as your honours have more than merited. All friends shall taste the wages of their virtue, and all foes the cup of their deservings. Oh, see, see. And my poor fool is hanged. No, no, no life. Why should a dog, a horse, a rat have life, and thou no breath at all? Thou'lt come no more. Never, 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 never. Pray you undo this button. Thank you, sir. Do you see this? Look on her. Look, her lips. Look there, look there. And then he dies. Edgar, he faints. My lord, my lord. Can't break, heart, I prithee break. Look up, my lord. Can't vex not his ghost. Oh, let him pass. He hates him that would upon the rack of this tough world stretch him out longer. He is gone indeed. The wonder as he hath endured so long, he but usurped his life. Albany, bear them from hence. Our present business is general woe. And then to Kent and Edgar. Friends of my soul, you twain rule in this realm, and the gored state sustain. So Albany, interestingly, he's the duke. He's bequeathed that power to lesser men out of a sense of repentance for the actions that have been transpired here. He's a good man. He gives up the rule in the same way that Lear had done so, but now he gives it to two men. Is this a restoration of justice? He's once again going to divide it to two men. Has he learned his lesson? Kent, I have a journey, sir, shortly to go. My master calls me. I must not say no. The Lord's calling him home, if you will. He's going to die. He is not going to be able to take on this charge, so it's left to Edgar then. Now, is this the wise old Kent? I think it is. Or wise, yes, the wise old Kent, recognizing that's how we got into this business to begin with dividing the kingdom. I'm not going to take on that and provoke another thing. So he resigns and steps back from that rule, which would be divided with Edgar, and then Edgar is left alone. And so he speaks finally, the authority figure. Edgar, the weight of this sad time we must obey. Speak what we feel, not what we ought to say. The oldest hath borne most. We that are young shall never see so much, nor live so long. And then they exeunt with a dead march, so it's like a military procession or a funeral procession, the dead march going out. So there's a sense of a somber going forward. There is order restored. Edgar, the good Edgar, is now in power, but much horror and tragedy to the very end. A very, very sad ending to Shakespeare's play, but still an orderly one, and justice has been restored.
And show the order by rhyming.
Yes.
And
yes.
Even meter.
Even meter, very even meter, iambic pentameter, heavily, as you say, rhyming couplets. So there's a strong sense of closure in terms of the poetic structure, yes, all of that being reasserted. And again, Shakespeare doesn't need to do this. He does do it, and he does it for a purpose. He's asserting, again, in the midst of all of the vicissitudes of life and the apparent injustices, there is nonetheless a providential ordering of things. So leave it at that. And I'll